Garfield is a worldwide phenomenon, has been for years. I remember when I was a kid, that ginger laying on that couch all day saying he hates Mondays, eating lasagna, doing nothing of worth, and watching the Garfield show, The Ginger Was Me. But I wanted to learn more about him. Apparently, he had his own dedicated ride, and the story was a bit wacky. This is my first time ever watching a Defunctland video. I'm really excited because I've heard that they are absolutely fantastic.
In the mid-19th century, in the northeastern region of the United States, there was a new pastime that people could not get enough of.
Okay, I know I'm pausing already and it's super early in the video, but I'm gonna do that a lot because I like to pause and talk about things. I love it when any kind of video essay that is based on something modern starts with like 200 years ago when Washington first crossed the Alamo, which is, I'm assuming is what he did, I don't know, I'm British. We saw the inventation of the musket, which would then go on to have massive ramifications. In this video, when I talk about the handkerchief, we will, yes, this is how we get the length of the video, right?
While picnics have been a French pastime for over a century, Americans did not begin to indulge in the practice until the early 1800s, and then it was almost exclusively for the upper class. By the mid-19th century, though, people of all means were packing a basket, finding a picturesque location, and sitting on a blanket to enjoy a meal. Maybe
having a picnic seems like such an effort. Like, you have to pack everything up, but your food's all ready to go, and then you're like, okay, let's go like 20 minutes to a field and sit down. But it also is so worth it. Like, sitting down in grass gives you serotonin on a levels that you can't experience anywhere else. It just feels so good to be in nature. Isn't that weird that going outside of your house is nice every now and then? It's so strange.
Play some tunes. Maybe some couples would sneak off for some alone time. Maybe some guy in a boat would row by to watch.
Oh,
Everyone
nice. That's me.
And for those
living
near Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, one of the most popular picnic locations was Kenny's Grove, a beautiful section of a farm owned by a man named Anthony Kenny. Located southeast of Pittsburgh in the Mifflin Township, Kenny's Grove was a popular picnic location with a beautiful view of the
Was Kenny okay with it?
Valley. The area would become so popular in the latter half of the 19th century that in 1898, the Monongahela Street Railways Company sought to create a picnic park at the end of their Mifflin streetcar line.
Bearing in mind, this is a video about a theme park ride about Garfield, the ginger cat that enjoys lasagna. I'm excited to see how this all connects up.
The company leased land from the Kenny family and renamed the picnic area to Kennywood Park. This type of trolley park was common throughout the United States, and they were typically created to increase railway profits, especially on the weekends. As with many trolley parks, Kennywood Park would not remain a picnic park forever. In 1898, just a year after leasing the land, Monongahela added a dance pavilion, the casino building restaurant, and Kennywood's first ride, a carousel.
So this is what they spent all the time doing, right? I've always boggled my mind. I try to think about this a lot. Back in the old days, before television, in the 1900s, if you're done with work and you go home for the day, you're tired, you sit down in your chair, but you haven't got a radio, you haven't got a phone to scroll through TikTok and lose your mind to, no Subway surfers, you're sitting in your chair, what do? I guess you, like, talk to other humans? That's probably what you do, right?
Well, the following year, a bandstand was constructed, and the year after that, in 1901, Kennywood built another new ride. Named the Old Mill. The Old Mill was not a unique ride to Kennywood, but rather an entire category of amusement park ride. Old mills are slow-moving boat rides, with no steep inclines or declines. The water in many of these rides
no fun, you mean?
As the name suggests, by a mill. Old mills were best known for their significant indoor stretches that were most often in pitch-black darkness.
This is what they call working smarter, not harder, because the mills make like grain and stuff, right? Is that what mills do? They make grain. They use water to crush things, make grain, and mill this whatever. And then you just attach a ride to it, pay people to go on the ride? That's proper American spirit, that is.
Led many couples to take advantage of the dark portions for romance-related activity, leading to the Old Mill getting its more recognizable name, the Tunnel of Love. These seemed to sprout up all over the place in the late 19th and early 20th century, in World's Fairs, state fairs, trolley parks, and amusement parks. And their reputation soon became a marketing ploy, with more and more old mills
I'd hate to clean these up
of a romantic or sexual nature.
Do you think that they could actually, like, I mean, you're not in there for long, so you don't really have much time to, I mean, maybe you're in there for like 10 minutes. That's enough time to get it done.
The Old Mill at Kennywood was one of the first Old Mill rides, and although it was never branded specifically as a Tunnel of Love, local couples found that it worked just the same. Kennywood's Old Mill would receive several themes and overlays.
Wait, there's
during
like
its first few years
there's
of
like 6
operation.
people in
It was
there.
first themed to the Fairyland floats, then to the canals of Venice, and later to the Panama Canal, which at the time was an extremely topical theme as the actual Panama Canal had just debuted. After the Panama Canal theme, the Old Mill became the Rapids Gorge and then the Fairyland floats again, before returning to its classic name, the Old Mill. In 1922, the ride underwent a refurbishment and received a new facade to appear more like a New England mill, and had its ride system overhauled and enlarged. Arguably the biggest change to the Old Mill in its...
I love how they go to theme parks with their full get-up, their full business suit. I can't imagine going to a theme park with the suit jacket, the full-on fedora hat. They're going in the best gear. Whereas people who go to Disneyland now basically dressed in like either next to nothing or like the sweats, their little tracky bottoms with their half-torn shirts. It's not a classy experience anymore. Do you think you could get like a classy theme park? You're only allowed in if you're wearing like a full-on suit, but then you still go down the roller coasters, right?
early years would come after the ride caught on fire and burned to the ground, being rebuilt for the 1926 season and receiving new theming with comic supplement characters, including Happy Hooligan, the Katzenjammer Kids, and Jiggs and Maggie. In 1936, the Old Mill was redecorated again with 8 new theatrically lit pictures. Another major refurbishment to the ride occurred in 1940. During this season, the Old Mill received a renovation with new animations. The refurbishment featured 7 well-known characters from comic strips.
Dude, I love this aesthetic. Oh my god, the old like 1940s, 1950s, almost like Bioshock-esque aesthetic. I don't know if I love it just because of Bioshock, but the old Art Deco with this kind of font style, oh, it's so cool. I love it so much.
Including Blondie, Popeye, the Lone Ranger, the Little
Popeye
King,
slaps.
Tarzan, Gulliver, and Little Henry. In 1957, the Old Mill was themed to a trip around the world. The loading area was also given an animatronic band of monkeys that would play music for guests in the queue, which was apparently auctioned off just 1 month before I started writing this video. Although it sold for
Do you think you would have bought it?
$200, which is more than I've ever spent on an animatronic monkey band.
No, I think we could have crowdsourced that. If he made the community post and like a GoFundMe, I think we could have crowdsourced it and got it for him.
1974 season, the Old Mill would receive its most significant thematic overhaul to date, becoming Hard-Headed Harold's horrendously humorous Haunted Hideaway. This retheme sent riders through an Old West ghost town, with comical and frightening scenes of skeletons placed throughout the ride. Some of these figures were animated, and sound effects were added to a few sections. This is the first version of the attraction that has been well documented, and it showcases the creative placement of the show scenes throughout the ride track. The Old Mill's middle section consists of 3 circles. In the center of these, outdoor show scenes were constructed, with parts of the tunnel being removed and replaced with fencing so guests could look outside. There are also 4 show buildings where dark rides...
I bet they put the fencing in because they had people climbing outside as well. Or they would just, I know that people get off rides in the middle of theme park rides. Dude, working at a theme park must be the absolute worst. You get the worst of humanity because they're all entitled. They walk in like, oh, we paid $2,000 for a ticket and a fast pass. So we get to go in the front and, oh, I'm going to look out. I'm going to stand up. I'm going to stand up now. And it's like, dude, if you fall off and you get crushed under the rollers, that's our fault. We have to clean you up afterwards. We have to scoop your brains off the floor. Can just sit down for a bit. Come on, man.
Scenes have been placed. Despite the creative theming of Hard-Headed Harold's horrendously humorous Haunted Hideaway, the Old Mill continued to be known for one thing. Kennywood's director of community and government relations put it best, explaining, quote, "It didn't matter what the theme was. Anyone who rode that ride in the 60s, 70s, and 80s, they were not on that ride to look at the scenes."
Oh, wait!
To sort of make out Canoodle.
Canoodle!
A bit nervous about getting on the Old Mill with the girl the first time.
Dude, they had some great ways to describe getting it on when, like, back in the day. Oh, yeah, we just canoodled. We did a little bit of the hanky-panky, if you know what I mean, huh? Now we just, what do we have now? We have nothing now. We have nothing that's funny now.
Because you might end up getting slapped, but you also might end up getting, you know, a snuggle.
In 1984,
a snuggle,
the Pittsburgh
perhaps.
Post-Gazette did a feature on the
Guys,
ride.
do you think that you could maybe get a little bit of a snuggle in too? I don't know about the hanky-panky. That might be too much. I think it goes canoodle, then snuggle, then hanky-panky. That's like the tier list of how this works.
Its reputation of romance. When interviewed, 15-year-old Missy Stash said, quote, "Everyone goes in there and really goes at it. You should see. Some of the boats come out and there's nobody in them." 61-year-old...
What? Did they make out so hard that they died and immediately evaporated? What's going on? Missy, you are 15. You should not know this. What are you doing? 15 years of age?
Ellen Ammon, recalling her Old Mill trips from the 1930s, Remember that the boys would bring string onto the ride. In the dark
String?
portions,
What?
they would
Why?
rush the string along the necks of girls to convince them that there were spiders and water snakes in the
Oh god, I thought they meant like a really thick piece of string, like a rope or something. We would convince them that we were gonna, like, I don't know, hang them or
tunnels
something.
in an effort to hold them close through their terror. Another common occurrence was seeing couples buttoning up their shirts while exiting the attraction. An uptick in romantic activity in the
Oh,
Old Mill
you.
was met with an increase
Young
in
love.
supervision from the park. Kennywood employees would be stationed at various points throughout the ride, armed with a flashlight and a disapproving stare. They would rarely
What, and a camera as well? What are you doing? I bet some of the employees didn't use that flashlight sometimes. I think that they just snuck into the corner so they could get a little bit of a peek. I have no evidence to back this up, but it's what I believe.
if the activity was nothing more than a kiss. But for anything more than that, the young couples would be told to knock it off. At one point in the 1960s,
Hey, you better not be
Kennywood
canoodling in
employees
there.
were given a plastic bat and were instructed that if they saw the naked buttocks of any rider, they were to smack them with the bat.
Bro, the 1960s was a different time. They were allowed to have a plastic bat. Only a plastic one. It was probably hollow on the inside, but you see any of those buttocks, give them a good hard smack. You know what? Some of them probably went on there and they probably enjoyed it. They would hear rumors. Hear about that new Disney ride? If you go on and show your ass, they'll smack it for you. And some perverts are like, ooh, yes, let me get on that.
This was very effective and almost always prompted the embarrassed couples to quickly redress themselves for the remainder of the journey.
Yeah, the horny
This
police is
solution
there.
was actually quite popular in Old Mills, as this photo from a different tunnel of love proves. Kennywood would later install cameras and a PA system so that employees could tell riders to stop their behavior without having to assault them in the dark. Hard-headed Harold's horrendously humorous haunted
Oh,
hideaway
why would you not assault them, though? That's the funny part, though. Why would you want to stop assaulting them? Listen, you gotta take advantage of these laws while you can. That was gonna get banned soon. If you can, then just go for a little swing.
understandably dropped the alliterative name in 1992, reverting back to the Old Mill but keeping the rest of the theming. As the Old Mill entered the 2000s, officially celebrating its 100th birthday, Kennywood was weighing the pros and cons of the ride. Due to its age and design, the attraction required a lot of maintenance and took up a significant amount of land at the park. Kennywood is well known for constantly building new
But
attractions
it's part of the
and creating
history,
new
though.
experiences to push locals to come back each season. So it was not out of the question to tear down the Old Mill and replace it with
No.
something more modern and thrilling.
No, you gotta have a little bit of the history. You have to have something to remember where you came from. Like, you could knock down a few of them, but keep at least one. You gotta keep the first
However,
one.
the management at Kennywood also cares deeply for the history of its park.
There
And
you go.
few, if any, wanted to see the park's oldest attraction torn down.
Good,
So
they
100
kept
years
it.
after its opening and 30 years after its last major refurbishment, a refresh of the Old Mill was on everyone's minds.
That's right.
Kennywood wanted to find a way to keep the historic ride in the park, but update it to appeal to modern audiences. And the answer to this would
So the answer to this was to put TikTok and Subway Surfers on so that when you're going through, there's a constant screen that's showing Family Guy clips and Subway Surfers and Minecraft parkour while reading out Reddit posts from Am I the Asshole? And wouldn't you believe it? After that, the audiences exploded. 3 times as many people as was usually on it. Crazy.
come in the form of a powerful cat named Garfield.
Let's go,
Garfield
baby.
is a comic strip written by cartoonist Jim Davis that debuted in 1976. The eponymous
He's
orange
that
tabby
old?
cat needs
Wait, how old do cats usually live? Oh my god, the oldest cat ever was also born in 1976 and died in 2005. That's so sad. So you're telling me that Garfield is dead and that the current Garfield is probably just like a kid? Though I don't know if Garfield canonically had any children,
no
right?
introduction. The general public is well aware of his love
He's
of
fat.
lasagna, hatred of Mondays, and his trademark laziness.
I love
along
Garfield.
with his dorky owner John, John's naive dog Odie, and a cast of other recurring characters quickly found their ways into the comic sections of newspapers across the country. By
Garfield is kind of like Squidward, right? There's something about this character. When you're a kid, you all have all the high energy, super happy all the time characters, and then this one comes along and he's like, dude, it's fucking Monday. Shut up, dude. Just give me like a slice of lasagna. Go away. Christ. Oh my god, do you ever be quiet? There's something just appealing about that. It's different. It's fresh. It's new.
By 1982,
It's not that new,
the
but
strip was appearing
still.
in over 1,000 newspapers. Over the next 2 decades, as the comic and character rose in popularity, Garfield would spawn an unprecedented amount of merchandise and media, including
I loved
toys,
his show.
books, video games, TV specials, and much more. Despite Garfield being a household name and his face being on everything from tea kettles to lava lamps, he was noticeably absent in amusement parks. It seemed that every major park chain had a classic cartoon character as a mascot. Disney had Mickey Mouse and Friends, Universal had Woody Woodpecker. Cedar Fair had the Peanuts game.
Bro, that is such a downgrade. Holy Christ. You go from Mickey Mouse, Goofy, Donald Duck, the whole shebang, and then you move on to Universal. Yeah, we got Woody Woodpecker. Biggest downgrade in centuries. This is my parents' cat, Jasper. I have my own cat called Leo, but he's a black cat. Do you think that Garfield looks anything like my parents' cat, Jasper? What do you think? Yay or nay? I think yay.
Gang. And Six Flags had the Looney Tunes. Garfield's omission from the medium was not lost on his creator. In 1988, when asked if Garfield would enter the theme park business, Davis said, quote, "I wouldn't touch it. Never." And that's the history of Garfield and theme parks.
Oh.
Wait,
Let's
8
go!
years later, he changed his mind. Wonder why. In 1996, plans were announced for a 535-acre theme park to be located in Davis's home state of Indiana, near Indianapolis in Hendricks County. The project was named the Heartland Festival Entertainment.
Is Garfield famous enough to have his own theme park, though? I really don't feel like he is.
Complex. And at the heart of the park would be Garfield's universe, a land dedicated to the character. This would include a character carousel, Arbuckle's picnic coaster, a ride called Garfield's Extreme Adventure, an Odie tongue slide, Irma's Diner, and Mama...
An Odie tongue slide? Well, I don't know. Does that mean the slide tastes me? I don't like the implications of that.
Leone's restaurant, which would serve, of course, lasagna. The park was
Exclusively lasagna, or would they serve other things too? Like you could have lasagna, veggie lasagna, turkey lasagna, chicken lasagna. You could have all these different variations of lasagna, right? But it has to be lasagna. You can't serve anything else. Also, it's triple the price.
planned to open in 1997 and was a joint effort between a Michigan development company and Davis's company, Paws Inc. The cost of the project was estimated to be $120 million. By all accounts, Davis was significantly involved in the park's design, even going so
Jesus.
far as to have a special Garfield theme park planning room and even conceptualizing the more mundane aspects of the project, such as the garbage cans and restrooms.
Oh, so you get to piss in Garfield's mouth. Fantastic. I hate urinals like this. It makes me uncomfortable. I don't want to piss in anyone's mouth. I just want to go. I don't need an animal staring me in the eyes while I go about my business. It's okay. Not everything has to be themed. We can just have toilets. That's fine. Garfield's into it though.
On top of the design contractors,
That's okay.
Davis reached out
I'm
to
not.
other amusement park operators to consult on the project during its early stages. This was when Davis first reached out to the Kennywood Entertainment Company, which owned 5 small parks in and around Pennsylvania, including Kennywood in West Mifflin. A year after the announcement, the opening date was pushed back to 1998. Despite significant utilities and groundwork being completed, the project struggled to find the remainder of its funding. The following year, the park
Yeah, no wonder, it's
rebranded
about
to
cats.
Garfield's Adventure America and scaled back on its plans.
Dude, that is a huge roller coaster. Is the entire park just this one roller coaster now? That's the biggest roller coaster I've ever seen in my life. No loop-de-loops,
To
though.
construct and debut the Garfield area first, with the opening now planned for 1999. By this point, a significant number of Hendricks County residents opposed the project, even forming a group called Citizens Opposing Amusement Park, or COAP. The theme
Hey, well, the theme park's gonna go up anyway, so you can, you can just go ahead and cope, can't you? That's unfortunate. What are you gonna do about it? You're gonna piss yourself and cry? You don't want an amusement park in your backyard? Well, it's going up on Monday, so it looks like you're gonna turn into Garfield a little bit now, aren't you? Deal with it.
park was pushed back another year with a projected opening of 2000. In December of 1999, Kennywood officials attended the International Association of Amusement Parks and Attractions Convention and Trade Show. It is here that they learned that Garfield was available to license.
Is that just a massive stadium? It is. Oh my god, that is huge. They just import all these park rides into a massive stadium? That sounds like a ton of fun, though.
It seemed that while Garfield's Adventure America was in a state of limbo, Davis was looking to integrate the character elsewhere, at least temporarily, and Kennywood Entertainment was reportedly one of his top choices, specifically the historic Kennywood Park as well as lake compounds in Connecticut. Kim Campbell, a spokesperson for Paws Inc., explained, quote, Jim liked the long histories of both parks, the family-friendly atmosphere, and the fact that they were picnic areas. Jim said the parks were a perfect fit for Garfield, who never met a picnic he didn't like. You didn't think that
True.
picnic stuff
You don't
was
really
gonna
take
come
lasagnas
back,
on
did ya?
picnics, so the lasagna is not really a picnic item. You're taking sandwiches, you're taking anything that's cold, easily carryable, transportable, you're taking pasties, maybe burritos, something like that. You're not really taking lasagna. You can eat lasagna cold, that is true. I've done it before. It's not that great though. You need to warm it up. It needs to be melty cheese.
An agreement was made between Kennywood and Paws Inc. for a 1-year licensing deal to have Garfield and Odie become the mascots of both Kennywood and Lake Compounds. This is despite the fact that Kennywood and Lake Compounds already had mascots. Kennywood had Kenny the kangaroo, and Lake Compounds had Kyle the crocodile.
Oh, dude, I don't like that.
Assured fans that Garfield and Odie would stand alongside the legacy characters and would not be replacing them. This integration in the Northeastern Park seemed to conflict with the appeal of Garfield's Adventure America in Indiana. However, it was revealed that the developers of the Indiana park only had the exclusive rights to the character within a 150-mile radius, and
That's
that Jim
so
Davis
specific.
and Paws Inc. had never financially invested in the park. The developers assured the public and their investors that Garfield's integration at Kennywood and Lake Compounds would not detract from the appeal of Garfield's Adventure America. But
I'm sorry, but if you were gonna go to a theme park of any kind, your mom and dad sit you down, they're like, little Jimmy, we're gonna go to a theme park soon. You're like, oh boy, where are we going? And they say Garfield theme park, you're just gonna slap them up. You're gonna start pissing and crying. You're gonna throw a tantrum. Because as much as I like Garfield, it's not Disney World. Right? It's not Universal. It's nothing as exciting as that. Garfield Park is like, I mean, okay.
But at this point,
Not as
many were
good.
convinced that the park would never be built. Meanwhile, at the Kennywood parks, Garfield and Odie were fitting right in, taking photos with guests, selling merchandise, and appearing in advertisements. The integration was successful enough that Kennywood and Paws Inc. extended their agreement, further cementing Garfield's presence in the parks. Kennywood's Kittyland would receive more
Oh my god, Garfield's face looks like a mustache. His smile is a mustache. I've never noticed that until now.
theming, and in 2002, the first Garfield ride opened at Kennywood, named Garfield's Pounce Bounce, a kitty bounce tower made to look like a block of cheese, covered in mice, and adorned with a Garfield
Nice.
statue.
It's pretty creative.
As Garfield
I like that.
continued to increase his presence at Kennywood, the park in Indiana was finally canceled. The developer had been sued by one of its contractors for lack of payment, and not long after this, it was revealed that the park owed $166,000 in back taxes. The
They
park
didn't
was soon
pay?
foreclosed
They didn't
on,
pay
and
the taxes
development company
either?
filed for bankruptcy. By
Damn, they're just like me for real.
2003, the project was dead and the county was redistricting the land where the park would have sat. Despite the failure of the park, Davis was still passionate about Garfield's presence in theme parks. And since he and his company already had a successful relationship with Kennywood, it only made sense to go all in on the Pennsylvania park. It was time for Garfield to get his own dark ride.
His own dark ride? What does that
It was at
even
this point
mean?
that the
What is
history
it?
of the old
Okay, so the dark rides are like the Tunnel of Love type rides where you go in and everything is dark on the inside. Why would Garfield need one of those? I feel like you could make so many rides about a certain character, but one that's completely in the dark seems a bit counterintuitive, right?
and the history
Garfield's Love Tunnel? Is that what we're
of
making now?
Garfield collided. Davis and Paws Inc. wanted a Garfield dark ride, and Kennywood wanted to retheme the old mill. The timing was perfect, and even better, Kennywood already had a designer in mind. Larry Kirshner, the owner of the haunted house design firm Halloween Productions, had recently installed an attraction at Kennywood, telling park management that if there ever came an opportunity to design a dark ride, Kirshner and Halloween Productions wanted in. Kirshner recalled wanting to design a dark ride so bad that he would almost do it for free. When the Garfield Old Mill retheme was discussed, Kennywood reached out to Kirshner, who happily accepted the job.
I wouldn't trust anyone that's that passionate about Garfield dark rides. There's something going in our brain, like the synapses aren't really connecting up all that well, but something is not right.
Kirshner's plans for the attraction included animatronics and 3D effects, and his background in haunted houses would lead him to pitch a Garfield ride with horror and comedy aspects, not dissimilar to the Old Mill's Hard-Headed Harold theming. However,
Garfield horror? I can't imagine that being a thing. When has Garfield ever been scary?
Kirshner's plans were too ambitious. He recalled, quote, "We wanted to make it look like a billboard smashes open and there's a Frankenstein food character, and then we squirt them all with water. I wanted to do other CGI effects so it wasn't so static and so the characters were interacting with them. Obviously, big effects like this were difficult to achieve in the retheme's limited budget, but the team ran into another issue entirely. Kennywood officials explained to Kirshner and Halloween Productions that, quote, "We can't make it too great because too many people would want to ride it. It has a very limited capacity since it's a boat ride." Pete McKenna, the general manager of Kennywood,
Has there ever been an instance where they're like, please, don't make the product too good. We don't want too many people engaging in this product. So please make it a bit shitter. They come in and take a tour around it and they're like, okay, I'll just take a baseball bat to Garfield's eye here. Make the ride a little bit more rickety, less fun on this part. And yeah, and make a sharp right turn here so people get sick. Okay, now it's not quite good enough.
Kennywood Entertainment remembered, quote, "One of the things we had to do was not make it too spectacular because it doesn't have a high capacity. So with
just
a
cap the
small
line.
budget and an explicit directive to make the ride no better than good, the team marched forward. Kirshner imagined guests riding through the old mill as though they were riding through a Garfield book. The premise for the ride was that Garfield was having a nightmare, which would give the team an excuse to incorporate horror elements and retain some of the dark portions. One point of contention in the ride's history was the involvement of Jim Davis and Paws Inc. While Davis certainly wanted the ride to be built and approved it, there was a dispute as to how involved he was in the creative process. McEnany recalled that Davis wrote the script for the ride and drew the concept art, but Kirshner recalled, quote, "We did 20 or 30 drawings. He didn't do anything. I never talked to Jim Davis. The biggest thing was he or someone gave us some
Garfield bit of drama going on.
To figure out which story we wanted to tell." Despite the obstacles, Kirshner and Halloween Productions were able to pull off a substantial retheme to the old mill, resulting in the most elaborate overlay in the ride's 103-year-old history. How this version would be received by the public, though, was still uncertain.
I still don't get why they have to make a dark ride with Garfield. Yo,
Kennywood
those suits
opened the
though.
season with a brand new attraction.
That tongue is way too big.
Garfield's Nightmare. The retheme to the old mill was dedicated with a small ceremony, at which Garfield and Odie took their first ride. Kenny the Kangaroo was also
Can they fit? Are they allowed on?
He could not fit into the boat with the other characters.
He looks so sad. He's been left behind, the poor little guy. It's like when you go to the park with your friends and you have 5 friends, but there's only 4 spaces on the ride, so you're like, all right, well, someone's gonna have to stay.
Twisting around an outdoor queue with the familiar old mill show building intact, with a small adjustment. In the window of the mill house, a frightened Garfield could be seen inside as the shutters opened and closed. While waiting in line, riders viewed TV screens that explained the history of the ride and featured clips of Garfield. As guests entered the loading area, they were
that's the equivalent of the Subway Surfers now, to keep the kids entertained.
Surprisingly handed 3D glasses to wear on the attraction. After riders
3D
loaded
glasses?
into their boat, they would take a left turn, passing a guard station revealing that the ride was covered in cameras. Reportedly, this was intentionally put in plain sight as another deterrent for romantic activity. As guests climbed a short lift hill...
That's not gonna stop... Oh, you know what? That's just gonna encourage the voyeurism. The voyeurs who like doing it in front of people. You know that security guard has seen some shit in the past.
A mysterious, booming voice.
This is the most frightening adventure you will ever be on.
Garfield, is that you?
Cheese. I like cheese. So
What?
give me some cheese and
Hey, bud, what's going on? Hey, thanks, man.
Guests went down a passageway.
Is that Mountain Dew? Why is there Mountain Dew there?
Look
Look at that disgusting radioactive liquid.
For PepsiCo products.
Oh my god, it is all ads. That's crazy. They're like, before you get on this ride, they played a pre-roll ad. Before you get onto the ride, they literally play a pre-roll. You paid to get in here, you paid to get on that ride, and they're still running ads.
It was unsurprisingly...
That's worse than YouTube. And believe me, I know it's bad ads. I run so many goddamn ads. I wouldn't... that's egregious, though.
The first of many blacklight scenes, and the walls were splattered with fluorescent material, which was definitely added by Halloween Productions during the refurbishment and was not the result of 103 years of bad aim.
All right, so Funkline got some jokes. I see you. Okay, you good one. That was nice.
Where the 3D glasses came into play. Rather than being a stereoscopic 3D effect in which 2 images are made into one to simulate depth, Garfield's Nightmare used chroma depth, which diffracts colors through a holographic film. This results in certain colors popping into the foreground while others are pushed into the background. The warm colors, red, orange, and yellow, are the ones pulled forward, while blue, indigo, and violet are pushed back. This effect works best with bright primary and secondary colors, which inadvertently gave the ride a distinct color scheme. The chroma depth effect is commonly used in haunted houses, and Kirshner and his team are industry.
Am I crazy, or can you kind of like feel that watching this video a little bit?
A benefit of the style.
Like, I don't know. Maybe I'm crazy. I kind of feel it a little bit.
Riders could view the ride without glasses, and would not have the ghosting effect seen when watching a polarized or anaglyph 3D setup without glasses. A nice, possible coincidence was that Garfield was famously orange, so the character would always pop to the foreground, while the background and other characters in the ride would be painted with blue or green colors.
I always feel like Garfield wasn't a true orange cat, though, because every single orange cat that I've ever seen in my entire life, including Jasper, is like insane. Absolutely insane. Not a single thought going up in their brain, and they are always sprinting about, doing zoomies. They're killing something, they're going after something. This is the antithesis of the orange cat that I know in my life. Like, with Leo, my black cat, he's a lot more chill, he's very nice, he's very cuddly, but Jasper's crazy.
If
One
you'd
brain
like to
cell.
try this out for yourself, you can find cheap chroma depth glasses online and watch a POV of the ride with the brightness turned all the way up. It's just like the real thing. After the product placement tunnel, riders encounter their first Garfield strip, which depicts Garfield falling asleep after a big meal, thus beginning
so
his
cute.
nightmare. The strips
I don't know, man, I
appearing
love
in the
him.
ride were previously released Garfield strips and not created specifically for the attraction. After
Damn, they
this,
reused it? Okay, working smarter, not harder. Don't even have to make any new strips, just reuse the old ones. That's
enter
smart.
The first scene, in which Garfield's messy house begins to come alive, with the door swinging open and shut. Garfield's voice plays overhead.
Is Garfield a
repeating,
hoarder?
I never met an ice cream truck I didn't like.
Another
Facts.
strip
That's my
depicts
hero.
Garfield depressed
True.
that he couldn't catch the ice cream truck. In the next scene, the ice cream truck
Feel
finally
that.
appears, but in a twist, the truck, driven by ice cream cones, is chasing after Garfield.
I had a nightmare almost exactly like this, except it was a tractor instead of an ice cream truck. So I feel you, Garfield. We are one and the same. Maybe all gingers are connected in some
Another
kind of way.
strip depicted Garfield scaring the mailman, a running gag in the comics. The next scene shows the mailman smiling
Bro.
as an angry dog opens and closes its jaws. The
Hold on, that dog looks exactly like the dog in Luigi's Mansion,
Scene
doesn't
shows
he?
the mailman
Look, he's got the
smiling
massive.
as an
Yeah, look at these. He's got the massive jaw. Look, they are identical. Well, okay, they're not identical. It's probably just the same kind of dog. But I swear, maybe Garfield and Luigi's Mansion, maybe they have a crossover. Maybe it's canon.
angry dog opens and closes its jaws. The next strip features another running gag from the comics, in which Garfield torments spiders. Predictably, the next scene is of
Based.
a large spider tormenting Garfield. This pattern continues with another running gag, Garfield eating a fish in a fishbowl, followed by a scene of a fish eating Garfield. The most terrifying part
They
of
put
the
Vor in this as well. They put Vor in the love tunnel. Pff, they knew what they were doing.
ride thus far is arguably this chair. While not explicitly referenced in the ride, another running gag from the comic strip is Garfield using John's chair as a scratching post. And
What is it with cats and doing this, by the way? My cat has about 15,000 scratching posts located at strategic places around the house, ignores every single one of them. The couch, though, oh man, he loves that couch. He will destroy the couch no matter what. I've tried putting tinfoil over it. I've tried covering it with things. I cover it with a blanket. He just sneaks under the blanket and then scratches the post anyway. What is it with the cats?
it appears that this chair, while not getting direct revenge on Garfield, is having a great time watching. The next scene shows Garfield's vet Liz holding a giant needle, with Garfield tied up by a rope, held
don't
by
like
an
that.
Igor-type character. The
Oh, I
needle
don't
would
like
blow
it.
a puff of air onto riders. Another strip depicts Garfield attacking the pizza delivery man, and the next scene shows the pizza delivery
Bro,
man
you
and
do
evil pizza
not-
boxes attacking Garfield.
No. You leave the pizza delivery man. You can attack everybody else, but you do not bite the hand that feeds.
The next strip and scene is a break from form. The strip depicts Garfield mentioning that he's going to the kitchen, with a depressed-looking John saying nothing. The next scene is one of the most difficult to decipher. On the right side of the boat, the appliances in the kitchen have come to life in menacing fashion, while boxes of lasagna have formed a kick line on the table. On the left side of the boat, a terrified Garfield is surrounded by an evil-looking John and a monstrous Odie, who appears to have torn off his long tongue and wrapped it around his body like a coat.
What?
There's also a zombie hot dog monster strapped to a table wearing sunglasses. The final strip and
Who
scene shows
made
John
this?
asking Garfield to catch mice, which Garfield refuses to do. In the comic strip, Garfield will eat just about anything besides mice. Despite this, in Garfield's nightmare, the mice still want revenge on him, cooking up a cat stew. As the ride nears
So they're racist. I get it. They're racist mice. Garfield, being the enlightened individual that he is, has decided that violence is actually bad. Maybe he's a vegan. He only eats vegan lasagna, something along those lines. The mice, with their predisposition on how cats are supposed to act, is racist towards the cat now. What a role reversal. Interesting meta commentary on society there.
its end, the characters that were tormenting Garfield moments ago are now lined up, smiling
kidding.
as the boat passes. Garfield's voice instructs guests that a photo op is coming up.
Oh yeah, got a photo opportunity coming up.
Spoilers.
Get any better than that?
Come on, man.
The mouse from the beginning of the ride instructs guests to smile as a large camera is clearly placed so that guests may pose for the picture. As guests reach the end of the ride, a final strip appears on the wall. Garfield says, quote, "What a great ride. It was kinda scary, but it's over now," while the creatures from the ride follow close behind.
He
This
doesn't know, Papela. He has no idea what's coming for
appears to be
him.
the only Garfield strip created specifically for the attraction.
He doesn't want to work for his food. That's also true. He doesn't want to work for his
Garfield's
food.
nightmare
That is
was
true.
drastically different than the old mill Kennywood regulars were used to, and any significant change would have its detractors. However, Garfield's nightmare almost immediately developed a cult of hatred among parkgoers, with
What?
many citing its cheap effects,
What?
product placement, and overall bizarre nature.
True. People do hate ads. You put pre-rolls in a theme park ride? That's insane. Imagine getting to your first loop-de-loop on the ultimate in somewhere in the United Kingdom. That's the biggest roller coaster in the UK. Before they stop and then they play you an ad for Raid Shadow Legends. Imagine how bad you're gonna feel
It
then.
was too scary for many children and too Garfield for many adults. For longtime Kennywood fans,
This
it
ride
felt
is
like a
sponsored by
betrayal of the
NordVPN.
historic old mill. But in all fairness, they probably just weren't around for the 1920s version that featured Jiggs and Maggie, the Garfield and Odie of the 20s. As far as a Garfield ride goes, it successfully featured many classic characters and famous scenarios from the comics. And the original art that Kirshner and his team created for the ride looked like it was pulled straight out of a Garfield strip. Despite
The art
low
style is
budget,
really
the
cool
attraction
though.
featured
Like the art is genuinely pretty good, isn't it? I mean, this just looks fun, right?
solid gags and some terrifying imagery. But who cares what
It looks like
Kennywood
Cuphead.
regulars, Garfield fans, or even children think? The real
Facts.
demographic that matters
kids.
is the one that gave the old mill its century-long reputation.
Old
Young
people.
couples. In a
No,
Pittsburgh
okay,
Post-Gazette
yep.
report before the ride's opening, Kennywood officials assured fans that, quote, "We haven't messed with what made the old mill," which the Gazette took to mean that, quote, "Couples will still be able to find a suitable spot along the way to, ahem, exchange pleasantries."
That's awesome. They programmed into the ride a place to make out. That's great.
This persistent mentioning in official media of the ride's reputation as
But there's
a
so many
luxury
cameras on it,
sent me
too.
down a rabbit hole that I could not have anticipated.
Oh, there's a
disclosure
twist?
For anyone that is not aware, every amusement park ride you have ever been on or will ever go on has been the setting for some funny business.
Oh, well, of course. I mean, are you kidding me? Even the roller coasters. Dude, you got some real adrenaline junkies out there. You call like the Mile High Club. That's just the beginning. You got some real weirdos out there that just want to do in every single possible variety of ways that they
Whether
can.
it's at your local amusement park or at Walt Disney World.
Yeah,
If
all
you
of them,
can be
of course.
seated within arm's reach of another person, someone has found a way to do something on that ride.
I bet there's an entire genre of, videos on a website that is just all about that theme park, amusement park porn. I bet that exists.
about amusement park
That's someone's
rides all
fetish.
the time, and I never mention this because it's never notable. It's just a given. However, in all of my research, I have never come across a ride in which major publications, journalists have reported consistently, constantly on a ride's reputation like the old mill at Kennywood. I found a newspaper article from 1934 talking
I bet if you take one of those ultraviolet lights on the ride, it is disgusting in there.
about how the ride is a great spot for couples. In the 1984 article in which
It's
couples
gross
were
though, there are
interviewed-
kids there. Yeah, of course it's disgusting. Like, you shouldn't do this. Very clearly, you should not do this. I'm just saying that they have done it because that's just what people do. I think it's gross. You shouldn't do it in a theme park. There are literal children everywhere. That's gross and terrible and horrible and disgusting. But people are gonna do it regardless.
about the romantic activity pushed me over the edge, not what I meant. After hearing mention that sometimes boats would pull into the station with no one inside, I knew that I had to go deeper. Dang it. Look, if you're just interested in the physical history of amusement park rides and you don't
No,
care
give
about
me the-
culture
give me
attached to
everything.
the old mill, I'd recommend skipping to this time code.
Now, give me the
For those
skinny.
remaining.
Give me the lowdown.
There was a
I wanna-
significant amount of documentation as to how Kennywood attempted to police young lovers on the ride, but little was known on how these riders were able to accomplish some of the feats that they were boasting about.
But they literally advertised that the guy went into a newspaper article and said, no, don't worry, you can still do everything on this ride. We haven't messed with that one bit. Then they're trying to police them. Double standards, I say.
Were these legends true, or were they fiction? In the name of research, I tweeted the following. Have you or someone you know ever made out or made love in the Old Mill Dark Ride at Kennywood Amusement Park? If
There
so,
can't be that
please
many.
email your story to imadelove@defunctland.com. I followed up this tweet clarifying that I didn't want details of the activity, I wanted to know where in the ride people jumped out. And either no one saw this reply or they didn't care, because I did receive many emails.
56
and
is
most
a
of them
lot.
contained graphic detailing of activities that took place in the old mill.
Oh no! He totally didn't want
A bit of
that.
Pittsburghese. Yins are nasty. Of the 56 messages I received, only 3 were obviously fake, and the vast majority contained details far too specific to be made up, mentioning school trips or special events that I verified were accurate. I'm not going to share any of these and assert that they are 100%
Oh my
true,
God.
but here are a few
That's
of the
so
more interesting
funny.
submissions with redacted bits for anonymity and appropriateness. Feel free
That's
to
so
pause
funny.
and read at your own pace.
Hold on. Oh, what the fuck? Dude, skip it through. Hello, Mr. Defunct. Actually, hold on. My name is Blank, and I'm 48 years old. I don't normally share things like this, but I like your vids, and your recent tweet was surprisingly relevant to me, lol. My lover, ex-husband, don't marry your assistant manager from your first summer job, lol. And I went through the line normally. But as more and more people began to get packed into the line, my downstairs got as slippery as the log jam. What? We were subtly grinding in the line. It was shaded by this point, so we weren't in the spotlight, so to speak. We played handsy hotsy totsy in the actual ride, and let me tell you that even though my ex-husband was a general disappointment in life, Garfield and I were both screaming by the end of that ride. What? Okay. Jesus Christ, what about the next one? I gotta see the next one. This was back when it was Garfield themed. I hope it's what you wanted. Okay, whoa, 14 years old? I don't know about, I don't want to read the 14-year-old. Yeah, no, I don't want that one. This is no way related to lovemaking, although I guess some people are into it. When I was 10? What? No, I don't want to read that one either. No, okay. Things I've done in Garfield's Nightmare. Made out with 2 different people. Was blank. Felt blank. Fill in the gaps with whatever you think is good, the answer. Everything is blank here. Just imagine a story, I guess. Oh, that's the end of it? Oh, okay. Well, all right, I guess that's the end of it.
In the end, the email submissions did provide a few interesting insights. First, smart couples would come in packs, try to space out their boat departures as best they could from other riders, and then run their hands on either side of the boat to slow their motion, thus extending the ride and their time in the dark. Second, there are at least 2 people who claim to—
What? This wasn't me. Oh, we got more. It wasn't me, unfortunately. But there's a good 80% chance one of my older cousins was conceived in one of these dark scenes. My uncle only brought it up once drunk at a reunion, and his wife shut that down before the details. Okay, that's a hilarious story, to be fair.
know someone that was conceived on this ride. Maybe it's you. Third, most surprising, the Garfield overlay did not deter many people from treating the old mill as the same tunnel of love previous generations had enjoyed. In fact, the majority of my emails were about acts of passion that took place in the neon-lit tunnels of Garfield's Nightmare. Some people noted that the Garfield theming diminished the aura of romance, while others admitted that they believe it added to it.
What? No, I don't understand that. I don't get how it can add to it. As a big enjoyer of Garfield myself, I don't think about this in any kind of sexual situation. I can't comprehend how that would add to it. I mean, at the very least, maybe you ignore it and it goes away. Is this the equivalent of like putting on music in the background while you're having sex because it like masks the sound, or putting like a TV show on in the background, so whenever you hear that TV show or that music, you have like a Pavlovian response to it? Maybe? I don't know.
Even purposefully sought it out. Maybe ironically, maybe not. As one emailer so eloquently put it, quote, "Garfield knows all of our sins."
He loves it. Nice.
Perhaps the greatest sin, though, was the lack of upkeep and proper maintenance that Garfield's Nightmare experienced. Within just a few years, the screens in the queue were removed, and many of the effects in the ride stopped working. The audio cues were off or missing, and the video of the mouse at the beginning sometimes wouldn't play. The neon paint started to fade, diminishing any effect the 3D glasses had. The 3D—
Well, doesn't that make it more of a horror experience if the video doesn't play or it's flickering? Or maybe the TV falls into the water while you're going through. That adds to the horror experience. I would say even elevates it.
Glasses themselves would often not be handed to guests, and it seemed they were eventually phased out altogether, although they would reappear infrequently. When guests were given 3D glasses, the often rambunctious riders would make a game out of throwing them onto the ride, trying to land them in the mouth of the dog or hit certain objects.
That's fun.
The upkeep of the ride was so poor that the whites of the eyes of the characters in the blown-up comic strips were either faded or removed.
Yeah, it just makes it look more scary, though. I would say it's just a bonus.
Resulting in them appearing permanently blackened. All of this somewhat added to the uneasy nature of the ride, but
That's what I'm
it really
saying.
just showed the attraction's lack of upkeep. Other than this, the ride lived a quaint, quiet existence, with no major changes or updates. Year after year, Kennywood would open
Turned into
for
a
the season,
creepypasta.
and Garfield's Nightmare would open with it. In 2007, a Nintendo DS platformer named Garfield's Nightmare was released. But besides the title, the game is in no way connected to the ride. In 2011, the Garfield comic strip featured Garfield, Odie, and John going to an amusement park named Kittywood, which appeared to be a parody of Kennywood. After 2008, Garfield and Odie
And he
were phased
hates
out
it.
as Kennywood mascots and stopped appearing in advertisements. Kenny
That's
the
a
Kangaroo
shame.
reclaimed his throne in West Mifflin and even got a sidekick. Does he look familiar? No. It's
What?
the sign. It's the Kennywood sign.
The sign?
You can meet the sign.
Are you serious?
Kennywood would eventually integrate.
Bro, what are they? Do they have one brain cell to rub together between everyone working there? Why would you add the sign as a mascot?
We're going to be bringing back the old mill as so
Oh,
many
they're
of you
killing their
have
axing
requested,
Garfields.
and restoring
They're
the line to the
axing 'em.
retro Western theme.
The news was celebrated by fans who cheered.
Oh, there
the
it
nightmare
goes.
is over. In the Pittsburgh City
Rest
Papers
in
headline
peace.
read, "I hope they serve lasagna in heaven." During the off-season,
He's dead.
the ride was gutted and completely rethemed. Unfortunately, all of the props from Garfield's Nightmare with a direct tie to the Garfield brand were destroyed at the demand of Viacom, in order to prevent them from being sold or ending up on the black market.
Bro, you can't like take it home? That sucks.
To ensure compliance, Kennywood had to film employees completely destroying the Garfield props. The opening of the ride
That would be fun, though. Like with the big hammer?
COVID-19 pandemic, but when it debuted for guests in July of 2020, when Kennywood opened for a shortened summer season, it was met with positive reviews. The familiar Old West ghost town theme was welcomed back into the historic ride. Despite the massive overhaul, the new theming utilized multiple props and effects from Garfield's Nightmare. The new Old Mill also had multiple tributes to Kennywood history, including references to previous Old Mill iterations. For instance, the appearance of a character named Harold, referencing hard-headed Harold's horrendously humorous haunted hideaway. The scenes also featured multiple orange tabs.
See these skeletons? Yeah, that's way more sexy. There's gonna have way more encounters in there now they got the skeletons back. Nothing like a bone to get you in the mood.
Cats throughout the ride, and a tombstone in a graveyard read, "G Nightmare, I hope there is lasagna."
Rest in peace. We'll never see its like
The Old Mill
again.
Kennywood is the world's oldest operating Old Mill attraction, and this is not by coincidence. Kennywood is a historic park whose employees and visitors care deeply for its history. While Garfield's Nightmare was not necessarily a beloved attraction, the retheme
It was
played
by
an
me.
important
I never knew
part
it
in
existed until
extending the
now.
life of this historic ride. While some might remember Garfield's Nightmare for its neon paint and surreal visuals, like any Old Mill retheme, most Kennywood guests will remember the attraction for something else. While most of the emails I received
While it was Garfield themed, I gave incredible blank to a guy on the ride. Oh, that definitely says head. After the first bend, once you're properly in the tunnel with the Garfield panel and the Pepsi ads, I blanked on him. I don't even know why I'm telling you this. Titled, Shame. That's awesome.
detailed explicit
What the
and often
hell?
disgusting
That's
acts
so
of action
weird.
that took place on the Old Mill. My takeaway was not that the ride should be burned to the ground for the good of the general public. In fact, it was quite the opposite. The romantic activities that happened within the walls of the Old Mill, as humorous and crass as they could be, reminded me of something that I've always believed.
What's
Annual
that?
Amusement parks are special environments
Where
some
you
of our
fuck.
strongest memories are formed.
And also sometimes where babies are full.
The nerves of going on the ride with someone you had a crush on, the scariness of having your first kiss, and even
It was my first kiss. I remember it tasted like the Twizzlers she had been snacking on.
missed opportunities.
Delicious.
lost loves. For one rider who grew up in a small town, the dark tunnels of the attraction were the first place he felt safe kissing his boyfriend. For a
Oh, that's
married couple,
good.
a trip on the Old Mill made them laugh and feel like they were in high school again. When the messages weren't overtly erotic, they were actually beautiful, and a good
Aw,
reminder
you know,
of why I
that's-
love
that's kinda
talking about
cute.
these parks. They are memorable and exciting places where it's as much about riding the attractions as it is who you are riding with. And sometimes the most memorable experience one can have is getting a kiss while riding a boat through a dark tunnel. And sometimes it's getting a kiss while riding a boat in front of a neon Garfield.
Aw, that had a surprisingly cute ending. I never thought it would end like that. That's actually kind of, oh, that's really cute. Damn, these Defunct Land videos they're really good. Oh man, I guess maybe if you want us to, we can watch some more in the future. This is fantastic.